Hi everybody, I'm Damien Osborne and I'm a fine artist from Cape Town in South Africa, and today I'm going to be talking about graphite. Can you use graphite with your oil paintings is a question that artists often ask. Today I've got a bit of a different spin on it all. I want to be making my own oil paint from graphite powder, called graphite black or grey. If you have any questions, just put them in below, and I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. Alright, so this is the way that I made my own graphite oil paint. Probably not the best way to do it actually. I think it would be better to actually use real graphite powder as opposed to this laborious method of trying to grind down pencil leads or graphites. If you are going to be grinding down the pencil leads, then rather use 6B to 9B. That means that there's a lot more graphite as opposed to clay in the mixture. But again, this is just something you can do in a pinch. You might just get some sandpaper as well in the mixture, so it's not exactly going to be pure graphite. Graphite powder is not very expensive. You can get it online or you can get it from an art store. So I'm just being a little bit lazy here, and actually trying to use a knife to open up these pencils is actually a bit of a silly idea. So don't really do this. This is actually the best part of paint making, is the grinding the paint down and mixing it with your palette knives and feeling the texture, and it's quite enjoyable. So now that I've made a little pile of graphite oil paint, I'm going to see what it feels like. I'm going to take a soft round brush and do a little bit of an oil sketch. I've got this white canvas panel that I made, and I've had this idea for a painting for a while. I was taking a walk and I saw this beautiful falcon that was on top of a post with the half moon. So I thought, let me just give it a go and get it out of my imagination onto the panel. The nice thing about graphite is that it draws really beautifully, just as a pencil would, I suppose, and it's easy to make correction marks and get some really dark lines as well as some slightly more grayed lines, and you can easily wipe out your mistakes with a rag. This canvas panel is quite absorbent, and the graphite pigment is quite oily. So it tends to soak in quite quickly on the surface. Because of its soft oil properties, I wouldn't use graphite oil paint in the underpainting layers. Better to use it for alla prima or for oil sketching such as this. If you want more information, just check out the blog below. I wrote quite a bit about about making graphite oil paint there, and the history of graphite, etc. But I did make another blog on making bone black, and you can see it's the same kind of principles when it comes to making oil paint, so just check out that blog. I decided that I was going to restart this composition, and as you can see, graphite is quite easy just to wipe out and restart. And in this case, I just used the grade to create a grade ground or tone to work on. I'm drawing this completely from my imagination. You can see how beautifully the graphite actually just glides over the surface, because it's a very soft and fluid-like paint. Even though that the paint has a bit of a gritty texture, I really like the way that it feels. Alright, so I thought I do like this paint and it's time to make some more. This part here was a bit of a learning experience for me and I don't think I would do this again. You don't really get much graphite out of pencils this way, so like I say, rather just get graphite from the art store, pure graphite. Don't even bother trying to open up pencils like this, it's a bit stupid. Having taken a bit of time to take out all the graphite leads, or the pencil leads, I then had to sand them down and make a little pile on the glass slab. And then took a spoon to make a bit of a well, and then I took some of my hand-refined linseed oil and just added a few drops of linseed oil to the graphite. The graphite is very oil absorbent, so I don't know how much oil I actually added, but it seemed to be quite a lot, and it soaked it up quite quickly. And the graphite itself felt quite gritty, and it was actually very easy to mull. The oil mixed with the pigment quite easily. You can see it made quite a thick, beautiful dark paste, and I just added oil to the pigment by feel, so I didn't really make any measurements here, but all I can say is that it is quite thirsty for oil. Now I take a little bit at a time and use my glass muller to mull the paint further and make a lovely, smooth, gorgeous paint. I try to mull the paint down as thin as possible so that there's no lumpy bits of graphite in the paint. So it's best to not do too much at a time. It actually just takes small piles and work one pile at a time. So now I'm going to attempt to put the graphite oil paint in a little tube. I take my long thin palette knife and just try and get it down into that tube. And then I just tap it down to try and get the paint to the bottom of the tube and make sure that there's no air in the tube. So fill it up about 2/3 of the way. And now I'm just cleaning off the tube, and then I use my straight palette knife to make a little bit of a lip about 2 or 3 millimeters from the edge of the tube. I fold it over. Just wipe off the excess with a paper towel and then just squeeze it down. And then I repeat the process and fold it over. And I just squeeze it down to make it airtight and make it neat. And there you go, that's a little tube of graphite oil paint. It only took a few minutes to make. And there's another one. Okay, here we go. This is my little tube of graphite black. I didn't put a label on yet because, well, it's just experimental at this stage, and it's a small tube, so I didn't really bother. But I just want to show you how it looks on this canvas board that I made. I'm just going to squeeze it out, and you can see that it's quite a strong black, quite a strong tinting strength, and quite thick. It's quite greasy and quite soft, and it has a slightly, cool tone to it. So it's a cool tone black. I quite like the texture of the paint as well. You can see the brush strokes that are formed when I brush through it like this. So the pigment particles are quite large, and it has a lovely texture. It's quite opaque and has a slightly metallic kind of sheen to it, or a sort of grey, dark grey colour to it. So I did do some experimental oil sketching with it, and I found that the pigment makes a beautiful, cool grey colour when mixed with white, which I'll show you shortly. So what I'm going to do now is just take some hand-refined linseed oil and just give it a little drop and try and thin it out a bit. Okay, there you go. I'm just going to wipe this brush. So I'm just going to spread it out a little bit, and you can see that the tinting strength of the pigment is quite strong. So that was literally just my dirty brush that was dipped in the oil now. You can create a glaze with it, as you see, though the pigment is quite strong. So now I'm just going to take a little syringe of titanium white that I made. I've actually run out of titanium white paint, so this is all I had was a silly little syringe. And I'm just going to make a little pile of titanium white here. There's a bit too much oil in this paint, but that doesn't matter right now. And just take a little bit of this, little bit of graphite black, and mix it with the white. You can see that the tinting strength of the graphite black is pretty strong, and it produces quite a cool bluish kind of grey tone. I'll try and mix it together properly. So there you get this beautiful bluish kind of grey, which is great for a limited palette if you're using a limited palette. So graphite black is great for oil sketching. The film properties are pretty soft, so I wouldn't really use it in the underpainting layers. It's mainly carbon, hence the blackness. It's got excellent light fastness, and it's pretty opaque, quite a strong tinting strength, and has a cool, quite a cool tone. And it absorbs quite a lot of oil, so the pigment's pretty oily. Alright, there we go. I just laid out carbon black and bone black to compare with the graphite black. You can see that for sure the graphite black is a lot bluer or cooler in tone than the others, especially in the thinner tones. And in the mass tones you can see again all of them are pretty black. Although this one here is a bit cooler. And with tints especially, you can see that this is a lot bluer, the others are a little bit warmer. So that's pretty cool. making some more homemade oil paints.